Okay, good afternoon all. Hope everyone is well. Karina, good morning to you. Okay, my apology about yesterday. My daughter had her first exam yesterday, so I know she was super nervous and it wasn't till early afternoon, so I took her. I did a little bit of trading, but I didn't trade till later. I took one trade, it won, so all good. So very little volume overnight. We've just had a couple of pushes up and we're just floating sideways, so we've just had nothing overnight really. That's it. So as you know, I'm more trading on the penguin style now, so I'm looking at the bigger picture as well. So the bigger picture to me is telling me we're still kind of working up, so I'll be looking for maybe a couple of attempts to push lower and then maybe catch something moving up, something like that anyway. So we'll see anyway, see what sort of day we have. Kind of say over the last couple of days we've been kind of moving up, and then yesterday again, and so far we've just got such a small amount of volume overnight. That's unreal really, isn't it? So we've had a move down into attempts to push up. So this is interesting. So looking on the NQ, in fact, I'm going to take a short on the NQ.
Order submitted.
I'll explain my whys in a second. Just going to put that down here. So mind you, having said that, it looks a bit like a bull flag, but we'll see anyway. So NQ, I'll just flick over to the NQ and explain why I've taken a short there. We look like we're ranging on the ES anyway, so for me, I think the chances we come down. So the ES, well, it started to work anyway, so I'll just quickly show the NQ chart. So what I'm seeing is this channel moving down here. We had a kind of a breakout, and it looks like it's failing this. So we got these two legs down. We've got a perfect measured leg up there. Let me just check everything's open. Yeah, so we got two legs up there. We've hit this top. There's a bearish bar there. So we'll see what happens. I've put let's put that one tick above there. Are we above it? Not quite. Let's put it one tick above there. And put that back down there. Mind you, this is looking like it's moving in the wrong direction, so we'll see what happens anyway. So we'll see. But we had a channel down there with two legs. Well, looks like a channel anyway, but a break. So hopefully a leg and a leg, and this will come down. We'll see. That's why I put that up there at this, previous kind of higher swing. So we'll see what happens. I mean, it started to work and then straight away went against me, but we've got a channel here with a break and a new high. That looks like two legs up. So we'll see. Trades in anyway. I like the legs. This to me is looking bearish. We've obviously bounced a few times. We've broken above it and twice we've dropped down below. So we'll see.
Order filled.
No. Wow, that really went against me super quick. Okay, there you go. Look at that. And it stopped me out and then dropped straight back down. Okay, so first one didn't work. That's okay. I've got no problem with that. It does happen. Wow, that really moved quick. Hey, Jan, how you doing, buddy? So first trade down. That was super quick, that was. I got to say. But having said that, all of a sudden when I got in that trade, it started moving up. It does look like a bit of a bull flag, so that might be why. But we did push above all this and then fail. So I expected two more attempts to push up. And then we had that bearish bar there. So I thought it was kind of a perfect measure leg. I thought that was going to work really well, to be fair. But there you go. So let's just put a loss there. So this is what I'm looking at now. Possible leg and a leg. We'll see. I actually really like that. Strange enough, we got a touch, close enough. 2 legs up, what looked like a break. Testing this underside there, I thought that was a winner straight away. It just goes to show. But the failure makes more sense on the smaller one, but he confirms the bigger one. I still think it's strange the market are pushing so much. The tariffs are still very bad. Yeah. See, I know we've got a trade deal with the US now. I believe China has, or something like that. So I don't know, maybe that initial fear is just starting to settle and people are getting more confident. I don't know, who knows really, to be honest with you. Trade 1,000 tick. Yeah, 1,000 tick chart on the NQ micro and the 2,000 tick chart on the MES micro. I took one trade yesterday, later in the afternoon. I think I took a picture of it. Let me have a look. Can't remember if it was that one. I think it was. Bear me a second. Was that yesterday? This was yesterday. That was it there, I think. And it worked. I put my swing. Yeah, that was the trade I took yesterday. 2 legs down, put my order in there, put my stop at that previous swing, and you could see that there basically. We had 2 legs down. Looks ever so slightly different here. Not sure why it looks different there. Was that on the NQ? It might have been. Or was it? I can't remember. Anyway, we had 2 legs down. I think that was it. Or was it here? No, there it was. We had 2 legs down. I got in there, put my swing below there, and it did come back on me a bit, but went up and worked perfectly. We had 2 lovely legs down. I'm surprised a few traders, Pat's traders, didn't get stuck there, but I think it went up. It went up just enough to get a few points, but mine was below that stop there, which was below here, so I had no issues with that, and eventually it worked up. It went a bit slow, but I just leave it in there now. So I was $165 up per account. So yeah, that was the trade, 2 legs back, and that's the beauty of having it this previous swing. It came back down and obviously didn't cause me any harm. So that was the one I took yesterday. And that was around about just after 3:30. I had to take my daughter in for her exam for 2:30, so I came back and took that. But obviously I'd missed the stream by then. So let's have a look here. So am I still on the NQ here? I am, aren't I? Let me just, sorry, have I just, sorry, I've just flicked onto the NQ. All that sort of stuff I said you couldn't hear. You can't see. I've just noticed that. Okay, let me start again. That was the trade there. I'll get the picture. Where's the, I don't know what me just did that. Bear me a second. Where is it? There it is. Okay, that was the trade I took yesterday. 2 legs down. So let me just move this over so you can see all this move here. There's that big spike there. We had a push up. So you can see there, 2 legs back. That's where I got in. My stop was below here, as you can see. It was a couple of ticks below there. So it did come back, but it didn't obviously get near me, and eventually it worked. So I made $165 per account yesterday. So yeah, you can clearly see that. I bet there'd have been a few traders caught in that. It went up probably went up a few points actually, but then obviously dropped quickly. But stopped behind there, as you can see, it was safe, and eventually I was out the trade about up here. So worked perfectly. I just took the one. So it's hard to read at the moment because it's not doing a lot. I'm just looking at that NQ. Let me just bring it over to the NQ. Yeah, I'm looking for 2 legs up. We've already couldn't get much higher there. So whether this is going to come down, my guess is we'd have 2 legs in. It may push up a little bit higher. So if I do get into a trade, I'll show you that one. But that one, I thought it was going to work. We're clearly kind of working down, 2 legs up. I thought that was going to be a treat. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll get back to the ES anyway. So we got overnight highs here. So maybe we've had 2 legs down to overnight highs. Let me just put this up there like that. We have had a break and a new high, so we'll see. What I will say is looking at this ES, we are finding support here. So this NQ may come back down. So this to me is looking slightly bearish. Mind you, having said that, we have bounced a few times and we have struggled to come back down. So 2 legs down, possible second entry short here. I'm not completely going to discount a patch trade if I see one. I'd be daft not to be honest with you. There is one there, I think. It's clearly worked. But nothing on the ES. Exponential, how you doing, buddy? So I haven't said hello to everyone, have I? I've said hello to Jan. Sean, have I said hello to Little Hammer, Tyden? Yeah, I think I said hello to everyone. So yeah, channel break, matching high. It is a little congested, but it did work comfortably below there. So channel break, new low. Obviously this NQ and ES kind of work side by side. but they look quite different at the moment. Let me just flick over to the NQ. And they look quite different. Yeah, it did look like a bull flag, which is probably why it did that. I wasn't. I mean, to be honest with you, with the two legs up and looking at this hitting support here, I thought this was going to come down. So there we go. So Marco took that failure there, and it was a second entry short on the NQ as well. So, but there was the failure. I think the Marco took. Looks like a failure. It kind of was. So there's a couple of legs back down there. We're pushing up. Be nice to get two legs down here. Maybe bounce here somewhere. Something like that to get us down to this area, and also maybe a fell break out of this. I'll see. So this is interesting. There's a bit of an overshoot there. So what I'm looking for is maybe something like that. Two legs up and then maybe a second leg down. just looking, I'm just going to flick over to the NQ chart. I'm just looking at this. You can see that support across there, and you can see it there, and you can see how we've bounced off it here. I'm looking for a second bounce here, 2 legs up. Whether it will or not, I don't know. It may do. So I'm just going to get an order ready.
Order submitted.
I'm going to just drop my that into it. I'll probably put that previous swing. Depends how high it gets and out here. So probably do 3 contracts there. See how it finishes anyway. That will probably be there if it works between there. So maybe 3 contracts, which will give us 350. So I'll just shut that
Order
all down.
canceled.
Get 3 ready. Just see if it starts to push. Okay.
Order submitted.
Let's just put this. Trying to get the damn thing to work. There. So that's where the risk is. That's where the profit is. Why is that? Oh, okay, sorry. Profit needs to come down here. So you can clearly see 2 legs up. Let's see if this works. Stops up here above that previous high. I'm assuming you can still see this. Now, I could add to this if I want, but I'm just going to let it play out. In fact, that needs to come down to there. Could be a triple. Oh, crikey, I don't like that. I don't like that move. I'm going to put that there just to be on the safe side. Should break below there because it's triggered it. Should work. Let's put that back where it was. Just going to leave it where it was. Might be just a pullback. It's going to happen. You're going to get pullback, so we'll see. In fact, what I might do is just put it to break even. I don't want to lose on the trade. Or is that a triple test bounce? It may be. I want to get something out of this. Actually, do you know what? I'm just going to leave it where it was. It's struggling now to get below there, so
Order
yeah,
filled.
beautiful. Okay, clearly worked. It worked well. At least I'm back in the green, $50 odd. So that's the beauty of this trade is you can get out a little bit earlier if you want, or you know, it did what it was supposed to. When it had that bounce, I nearly got out, but I've seen it do that a few times on Penguins trades. And he just leaves it. He doesn't touch it. But there we go anyway. So that was the trade. So let me just mark that up. do this properly. So fingers crossed this will be day 4 or day 5 with profit. I haven't done 5 winning days in a row profit with Pats for a while. Let me just... It's a loss, wasn't it? So 1 tick away. What did you put? I would. Rich comment. Not risk so much 1 tick. Yeah, I know what you mean. There is a second entry short there. Is that going to tease anyone? You'd expect that to work. The trouble is with these 2 pushes up, you'd expect it to retest the lows. I think I was out. Well, I was out before here. Well, you can see I was out there. So we had that little bit of a pullback and then it clearly worked. There's a lower high there. Second entry short stroke lower high. Trouble is we've already made a new low from this channel. Yeah, I know what you mean, mate. Yeah, for the sake of a tick or so. You know, what I could do is when it gets within a couple of ticks is just bring me stop right down. The trouble is sometimes, you know, times that I've got out a trade early and they go on to win, I still think sometimes you're better off just kind of leaving it as it is. But yeah, you don't want to lose that trade, do you? To be honest with you, on this NQ, I'm probably risking a little bit more than I wanted to. I wanted to just keep my risk at about $150. Sorry, at about $100, $120, something like that. That way, my accounts, let's say my accounts are average, say, after these payouts, say 2,300. If I'm risking about, I don't know, 120, 110, 120, I'm risking about 5%. I think 5% is, there is a saying, don't be for a tick. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you're saying. Yeah, I mean, for the sake of for a tick, which is what, 2 contracts, what's that, $255, $3, something like that. Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think once it gets close like that, I think it doesn't hurt to bring it down. Trouble is, sometimes it'll get close, pull back, and then do that. But yeah, you don't want to lose that for a tick, do you? I know what you're saying. So, but what I liked about it is you can clearly see we're bouncing support here. We'd had a break there, so I expected that to get close to these lows here. But we've made kind of a triple test there, and now the thing is going up. Yeah, I mean, if you sorry, I keep talking from one chart and then talking about another. I mean, it worked by about what? I can't work these out. What is it? 10 points, maybe 10 points. Which is not much on the NQ, is it, compared to it? But anyway, I mean, it worked anyway. You know, when I do judge where I get out, I kind of like to get out where I know there's going to be liquidity. We had kind of 2 legs back, so I expect it to kind of break that area. Fortunately, it did what it was supposed to. It broke that area there. And if I flick onto the ES... we had a matching low there, didn't we? It may still come down. This may be 2 legs up. In fact, it does look like 2 legs up, doesn't it? In fact, you know what? There's another trade on the NQ. I'm not taking it at the moment because I haven't planned. Yeah. Actually, I am going to take it, but I'm just going to take it for... Oh, you nutter.
Order filled.
Okay. 2 legs down, 2 legs up. It's all right. I was 50 up now, I'm 50 down. I just didn't think about that properly. Bear me a second. Yeah.
Order
Okay.
submitted.
I'm back. I'm in the right place now. This is just for one contract. Stop goes up here. Profit goes down there. Bear me a second. I'm not looking what I'm doing here. Let me just flick over. Sorry. I need to focus on what I'm doing a bit there. We've had 2 bigger legs up there. So I've got back in there. I got back in, put my stop here. I wasn't thinking about what I'm doing. On the ES, it looks like 2 legs up. So we'll see what happens anyway. But I made a bit of a boo-boo there. But you can see there's 2 bigger legs up. So hopefully this will push down. I went from having $50 profit to being at 0. But hopefully leg down, a couple of attempts to push up. Hopefully this pushes down. The bigger picture for me on this NQ, this is what I was looking for. 2 legs down. We've had a leg down, 2 attempts to push up. So I think this one will work. It may have a bit of heat. That's fine. But we've got a channel down there. Sorry, I'm talking about one chart. I'm going to have to find a better way of doing this. I'll talk about the ES in a minute. Let me just let this play out. So $120 risk maximum. So so we've got this bigger move down there. You can clearly see 2 attempts to push higher there. And hopefully this flushes down now. There's going to be some liquidity there. You can see that for sure. Yeah, I might have to get something side by side. So it's a bit of a pain switching from one to another for kind of following what's going on. Channel down 1, 2 attempts to push up. Let's see what happens in here. I'm leaving anyway. Let's let it play out. That needs to come to about there. So just flick over to the NQ quickly. This is kind of what I was looking for. There's a bigger move up here and we've come off these highs. So my guess is on this NQ, you can clearly see we've had 1, 2 attempts to push up. And I'm expecting this second leg down to get us close to here, at least to break these lows. So this is looking kind of bearish at the moment. And the NQ, I didn't think what I was doing. I jumped in without thinking on the NQ a minute ago. So I need to just slow things down. There's going to be some teething problems on this. It's fine. I've got no issues with that. It's getting a bit sideways. Once we get below here, I think we'll be okay. So we are moving down here now. So fingers crossed. you can see this is starting to move down below here. So this is, I'll show you on the thing in a minute. Anyway, let's just get this sorted out for now. Wow, this thing is just bouncing around all over the place. I don't know what's going on here.
Order
Oh my
filled.
good God. My trade's closed. They're not.
Order
Something's still
filled.
open.
Order filled.
Let me just check everything's closed. I think they are. Oh my God. This thing's woof. So I got into a trade there and didn't think about what I was doing properly. We had 2 legs up. Perhaps I should have got in here. I got in a bit low down. If I'd have got in here, what is going on here? Two attempts to push up. This thing is kind of still looking bearish. I was going to work a trade for a minute. Broke down below here, so we got 2 legs down and then up. So let me just look at this now. There's going to be a few teething problems. I'm aware of that. I'm not too bothered with that. We've got a leg up, 2 legs back, 2 legs up.
Order
Okay,
submitted.
see if we can get this to work now. Put that there and put that there. So leg up with a correction, 2 legs up. Just trading 2 contracts on this. Let's see what happens anyway.
Order filled.
Beautiful. Okay, so
Order filled. Order filled.
flatten everything. Yes. Strange that. Still showing that there's a trade there. Flatten everything. No. Let me just... my rhythmic's looking okay. Let me just disconnect and reconnect. It's showing there's an order open. I don't think there is. I'm looking at rhythmic. Bear me a second. Sorry, it's a bit complicated trying to trade both of them and trying to talk about what I'm seeing and if I'm seeing a different channel, a different chart. Let me just make sure everything is closed. Yeah, I can't see any orders open. Yeah, sometimes it shows there's orders open, but I can see on my rhythmic that there isn't. Okay, that worked. So I got in short here, didn't I? 2 legs back, and that didn't work. So I got in there. So that was a loss and that was a win. Bear me a second. So we had 2 legs up there. Let's pull that down a bit to about there. So that was a loss. It's all right. I'm just jumping in and not thinking too much about it. I need to just calm myself down and just, and that was a win. So that looked better. I thought that was going to work, to be honest with you. The first one worked, and the second one... sometimes when I see these trades, there was one the other day, and there was literally one after another. We had that one, and then there was the bigger move there. Which looked the same. And when that pushed down, I thought a couple of pullbacks, then down we go test these lows, because this hasn't broken the lows yet on the ES. So let me just flick over the ES. I'm going to have to figure out a better way of doing this. Yeah, see, we hadn't broken the lows yet, and there was 2 legs up there on the ES. So we had a break of this channel and we attempted to make a new low. Then we had 2 pushes up. Same again, kind of just above a measured move. And then that pushed down and finally broke the lows. It needed to test this area for me, but I still think this at the moment is temporarily bearish, because the bigger picture is... I hate it when it does this. The bigger picture is, for me... It's a bit bullish. I do it from the tops, I think. Yeah, so I'm expecting a second leg down, which I still think we're going to get. Leg down, a few attempts to go higher, and another leg down to kind of meet this area down here. Let me just pull this down a little bit more. Sorry if this is a bit confusing. It's a bit confusing to me because I've just switched over. So that happened to Nutty Bar. It jumps around. Oh, really? Sorry, mate. I didn't read those comments. So at least I'm back in profit a little bit. It doesn't look like I am, but I am. Just a touch. Well, I'll show you here. Some of them are, some of them aren't. Some of them are 50, 20, 20. So I'm more or less back in profit. Yeah, I'm between kind of... Oh no, tell a lie. A little bit less. I'm just under. I'm above with 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. Why is 330? That's 3-2. One of them hasn't traded for some reason. Let me just check on the NQ. Ah, 3-3 never traded. That doesn't really matter. So this is just need to slow it down a bit. Bear me a second. It's just taking a bit getting used to the NQ. It's a lot more aggressive. It's surprising me a little bit how much it does flick around. It's going to take a bit of getting used to that. So that one wasn't far off that. It nearly worked. If I'd have gotten at the right place, I might have got out there. Am I still on the NQ? No, I'm not. Bear me a second. Yeah, let me just flick to the NQ. That one that I lost there, 2 legs up. If I'd have got in there and put this above that swing high there, it would have worked. I would have been out of that. But it just moved a bit too quick and I jumped in. I got in a bit too late and it didn't quite get down enough. Something on a leg down. Yeah, it takes a bit of getting used to this. Let me have a look. Mark. I have one screen with lots of tiny inch trader windows on it, one for each account. You can instantly see what your account trades. Yeah, what I need to do is just, because I'm only trading 2 charts here, I could put these probably side by side. It might be a bit easier. And I usually like to have maybe the 10,000 tick chart or something a little bit bigger time frame so I can sort of get a general gist of kind of the whole idea of what's going on. Nicely head on 4. They got out seeing impulsive. Yeah, that's part of the reason why I've stopped taking pats a bit. I am susceptible because I'm quite a wired person. When you've got to make quick decisions with pats, I am susceptible to taking impulsive trades, and it gets me in trouble. And it's just too fast for me, and I need something a little bit calmer. Having said that, it's been chaotic this morning on this. So if I'd have got in there right at that measured move, thinking this was going to still come back, that would have worked because I'd have put my stop there. So that one would have worked, that one worked, and that one would have worked. But because it's flickering around a little bit too much, I'm just wondering whether to move to the 1500 tick chart or the 2000 just to slow it down a little bit. Possibly 2 legs up here. Let's have a look. Trouble is when you're looking at 2 charts. So let me just see if I can clean this up a little bit. So we had a break, didn't we? 2 attempts at a new low, made 2 attempts to go higher, and that worked. So I think that was the better of the 2 trades there. You clearly see it, 2 pushes up. You can't really mistake that for a channel, really, I don't think. Because it's so sideways. I mean, you could do, but because it's going up at such a kind of a soft angle. So 2 legs up, we didn't get up very far. But at the moment, it's just, I'd have preferred it to get up a little bit higher. And I've just got to slow things down a little bit, that's all. But if you look at the NQ, all the trades I took short, they did clearly come down. That one worked, that one worked. I just got in that a little bit late. If I'd have got in there, stop above that previous swing, I'd have been out down here. There you go. I mean, you know, I've only been trading Penguin sort of properly full time for a week or so, although I have been watching him for the last couple of years and trying a few things. But I have way more success on this than I do Pats. Pats is just a bit too quick for me. I don't have time to think. Shoulder, head, shoulder. This looks like a bearish pattern, this. But it's a bit choppy anyway, so it's not super clear at the minute, and it's certainly choppy on the ES. Yeah, so I'm going to play around with this tonight and just get some of this moved out. Honestly, Pats with holding for larger moves in the right context is easier. Yeah. The trouble is, I mean, let's look at the trades on the NQ that I think were good trades. Move down, that one 2 legs up, that one worked clearly. That one I got in a bit late, but that was the better moves. But forget that one, that was a bit impulsive there. I got in too late. If you forget that one, I'm up 2 trades there. That one didn't work, so I'd have been in profit. So there's way more things to trading for these bigger moves. And not only that as well, there's another issue I have with Pats. because you put your move above the signal bar and we're going for a smaller move, if it starts to go against you, you can't really get out of it because you're only in on one bar. Whereas if you noticed on Monday, the first losing trade I took, I got out of it for $35. Second trade, I stayed in it. In fact, I added one to it, an extra micro to it. So you've got options with going for a bigger move and lower contracts to get out if you think the trade is gone against you or you think you've made a misjudgment. Whereas trading Pats, you can't really. You know, you get into there, your stop goes there. You're in on one bar. If it triggers you and comes down and takes you out, you can't get out earlier. So, and you know, I've read so many books about trading and watched so many different interviews with trader, and the one thing that I tend to hear again and again is good traders get out of a losing trade and milk a winning trade for what they can. But you can't do that with Pats because you're going for such small movements. Whereas this, you've got breathing space. Whereas you can decide, I've got that wrong. I can see what's going on now. You know, you can decide to get out. So you've got options. And, you know, if I was trading this move down here, when we get that pullback, another entry, I could add a micro there. So there's just more options to do a better job of trading than with Pats. That's how I feel anyway. So let's have a look at this. So we've got 2 legs down and a move up. I didn't want to go long here because at the moment we're doing this thing's chopping around on the ES. If I flick to the ES, we're just chopping around. So I'd rather just not get into a trade at the moment. It is a little bit more clearer. We've got 2 legs up there, so it is a little bit more clearer here. So, in fact, there's a leg up with 2 legs back. So, we'll see. Shorts seem to be the name of the game here. So, actually,
Order
I like
submitted.
that. I'm going to put my stop there. And put that there. A leg up with 2 legs back and a leg up. That's above that previous swing. It is getting a bit choppy though. That's the only issue I have. It's a leg up with 2 legs back and a leg up. I just want to get out of this at the minute. I'm not thinking, I'm just moving too quick this for me at the moment. I'm struggling to figure out what's going back, but we did a leg up with 2 legs back and a leg up. So let me just slow things down a bit. It is hard trading 2 charts. I've got to say, especially this with this 1,000 tick chart. I don't know whether to move up to the 15 and slow it down a bit. I'm not used to trading this NQC and it moves so damn quick. So at least I'm in profit a bit between $13 and $46. So let me just think about what I'm doing here. Slow things down a little bit. Lance, the concept of 2 legs always applies. Yes, but how Penguin uses it, it's completely whole new level. Not easy. No, it's not easy, but you know, when you are used to trading price action, I've been trading price action now for, well, I've been trading price action for 4 years. So I kind of understand how these moves work. So out of the trades I've taken here, which do I think the clearer ones are? I think this one was the clearest winner there. 2 clear legs up. We got a leg up. We push down, we go sideways, we drop out, and we get 2 more pushes up. So put it this way, I've traded it on and off before, and I'm making more money trading this, and I'm having more success than I did on Pat. So there is a learning curve. But the last 5 days in a row have been green days, and I haven't had that on Pat's Day. So, but just looking at some of the trades I've taken, let me have a look here. Let me just bring in this chart here. These are some of the trades I've taken on here where things have worked. That was kind of, I think that was Friday there. We're clearly coming down. We had 2 legs down, took that trade. That one worked. Let me open this up a bit. In fact, you can't see it, can you? Let me a sec. Okay, so this is one of the charts. I think this was Friday's. So clearly kind of working down at the moment. You know, we had 2 legs up and then this thing pushed down. So we got a channel working up, 2 legs down. I got in there, stopped there, profit there, worked. We had this move down. If you can see this, let me zoom in. We had this move down, 2 clear attempts to push up. Now that to me is almost like a triple test anyway. So that is being a price action trader anyway. That is a move that I would expect to push down. So that clearly worked. And then the bigger overall picture, we had a leg up here with a correction and another leg up, and I went short there, and that one worked. So that was a good day Friday, 3 winning trades. Let me just look at another one. That was the same trade. I just took it as it was working. What was this? I think I was just messing around there, 2 legs up. I don't think I got in there. I can't remember. That was one I took. 2 legs up, went short there. No, that was something else. That was, bear in mind. Let me have a look. Same chart again. I was just showing the move while I was in it there for an evaluation. Yeah, another one that clearly worked as well. We clearly had this move down. We had 2 measured legs up there. I got in there, put me stop on there, worked beautifully. So I have been trading on and off, as you guys know. That was just a bit of the first one. As you guys know, that was the first one I took on Friday. We had the move up, we had 2 legs back, put me order there, stop went below that previous swing, and it did what I expected it to do, push up, make a new high. So, you know, I do know how it works, but I've not traded it full time, and, you know, there's going to be learning curves. But the beauty about trading this style is it's very, very close to trading Pats. It's just a slightly blown out version of it. Sorry about that. It's just a slightly blown out version. So, but there's going to be teething problems. I mean, this thing was bouncing all over the place on the NQ. But, you know, I could see what was going on. We had this move down. I was expecting, you know, this to sort of attempt to low, which we did there. So we had 2 legs up, that one, and then we had 2 more legs up. And that looked good as well, you know, to sort of test these lows that I was looking at on the ES. But there we go anyway. I'm just not used to trading this NQ as much. It just doesn't half bounce around. So I'm just seeing legs and legs and legs, I've got to say. Waiting, this can be all day. The start with Penguin, I felt invincible, and all of a sudden, Little Hammer, have you noticed? Because when I started trading it, I was actually on the Discord for a while. I started trading it again, probably about a year ago. And what he kind of would do is wait for the move below the EMA just to sort of give us that. See, we got 2 legs up there. Can you see that chart? Wrong chart. Let me just go on to the ES chart. We got 2. Sorry, this was what I was looking at here. So we got 2 legs up here, and then we had that push below the EMA. In a lot of cases, his stop would go there. Sorry, his stop would go there and his profit would be down and out the lows. But in a lot of cases now, he's putting his order in here. I've seen him a lot of the time. He's putting his limit order in at the 2 measured legs if the price action looks good. And the beauty about having it there is you haven't got to hopefully wait for it to test the lows. Where I just put that, it may not have triggered it. But there, the good thing about getting in early, you are out early. And it gives you that little bit of extra. So I kind of like how he's trading it. But I spoke to him once, maybe a year and a half ago. And he said he tried Pats and he just found it too quick. There was just no room for error, no space. And you are very restricted, Pats, as well. The difficult thing with Pats, if I was waiting, say, for a long here, you don't know how big that bar is going to be until the very last second, and it's impossible to manage your risk. So in that case, the bar is 5.5 points with a tick above below, thereabouts anyway. Now, even trading one contract, that's a $275 risk. I don't want to risk that much. Now, a second before that finished, that bar could have been 4 points, in which case it's better, but you can't set your risk. Whereas if I'm going to go short here, as this trade's, materializing, or I'm thinking 2 legs up, I can get this in. I've got it set to, if that's where I want to get in, that's where my stop is. That's my profit. I can tell per contract is $35. If I want a $100 risk, I just take 3 contracts. And I know exactly what I'm risking before I've even taken the trade. And not only that, with having a bigger stop, if it does come down and bounce 3 times, say, and I can clearly see that it's struggling, I have got the option to get out. Or if I've misread it, I can bring that stop down to mitigate my risk. And one of the things I mentioned earlier that I've read so many times about experienced traders, they get out of a losing trade. You can't do that with Pats, but this you can. If I see this push down and bounce 4 or 5 times and I'm thinking this is not getting through here, I can, reduce my risk or get out because of the sheer amount of space you've got to play with, unlike Pats. And that's kind of why I like it. Sorry, mate. I've missed a few comments there. I'm trying to combine Pats. Yeah, when I first started trading Penguin again, all I was seeing is Pats trades, but I think Pats is hard at the moment. I'm speaking to a lot of traders and they're saying because it's so choppy and it's, the ATR's a lot higher. I'm just not having a lot of success with it at the moment, to be honest with you. I'm finding less and less setups, whereas this, I was very tempted on that NQ to get in there. Let me show you. We had a leg up, 2 legs back, and another leg up, right to the measured move. I was very tempted to go short there, and I left it because it is bouncing all over the place. So I just wanted to slow down and take a breath. But, if I would have got in there, wrong one. If I would have got in there or thereabouts, stop would have gone here, maybe there. Profit would have been there. I'm out. $40 risk. I could go for 1, 2 contracts, 3 at the most. I could, that's probably where my stop would be at that high, just in case sometimes it'll take that high up. But that worked. It would have worked. So, and I'm much comfortable risking $100 here, whereas, the trade I was just talking about off the bottom here, that would have been a $275 or $225 risk. It's just too much. I'm not comfortable risking that much. So it's going to take a little bit of time. It's very taxing on the mind. Yeah, you're not wrong, mate, and the body. I fully agree. Since I've started trading, I've picked up habits. A little cough that I have and a little sniff. I never had anything like that. Since I started trading, I've picked up habits. I was talking to the doctor about it, and he said sometimes when you're in a stressful job or stressful position, It's not uncommon for that to happen. I look back on some of my videos, and my wife said to me the other night, "You look like you're on drugs," and it's being stressful that's created that. And trade, I find Pat so stressful because it's hard to manage your risk, whereas this, it's much better. However, to enter a place stop is a hell of a job. Yeah, what I've tended to do was to put it at the kind of the previous high. So, and what I like about that, it doesn't matter how big the move is. So if I was getting in, say, there at the measured move, I could put my stop up here if I wanted to. I'd just trade one contract because it's $120. Or if I could put my stop right at the top and get to the bottom, and I can do that because it's only $61. I can adjust accordingly. But I probably would have used that, which I expected to push up a few times. That seems to probably be a relatively safe place. Whereas $28, I could trade 4 contracts, so I know what my risk is going to be. And, you know, someone said to me the other day, he said, the trouble is the risks are too big with Penguin because of the big stops. But it's not true, because I just lower I could put my stop up here. And I just trade 1 micro because I'm risking $100. So it's irrelevant the size of the stop, as long as you're, you know, adjusting your contract size accordingly. So habits reflect your desire to meet expectations, certainly. To mind messing. I never used to be like this. I'm like a gibbering wreck sometimes, but I'm better trading Penguin style with less of a risk, around about $120. Most of my losses on Pats lately have been around $250 trading 1 mini. And this is much better for me. This is definitely a lot more relaxing. See, what I'm seeing at the moment, we're clearly struggling. I'm on the right chart. Yeah, we're clearly struggling at the midline here. So my guess is the overall is we're in an uptrend somewhere along those lines. Something like that. We seem to be sort of bouncing here and here and here. So I'm expecting leg down. What have I done with that other leg? There it is. So I'm expecting somewhere along those lines. Let me just see. The good thing about moving on to this style of trading, as a price action trader, we do pay a lot of attention to how price moves, as opposed to a trader that may go, there's a level down there, let's put an order in here, there's a level up here, let's put a short in here. You know, we pay a lot of attention to what goes on in the middle. Not every trader does. They're more interested in what's going on at the levels rather than the middle. But, you know, seeing this go down and seeing a bunch of attempts to push up, we seem to be struggling. My guess is this is eventually going to break down and come down close to here. And if we can get 2 legs down, this is kind of where I'll be looking to get into but I am surprised how quick that 1,000 tick chart NQ moves. Actually, it's surprising me quite a little bit. I'm gonna have to adjust that. Small little prop accounts, we usually tend to risk more. Yeah. Well, at the moment, I'm tending to risk about 120. That what's in my accounts at the moment, I'm risking about 5%. I actually don't think for a prop firm that's too bad. You know, maybe even $100. That's a little bit less. My accounts at the moment, I got another payment. I got $7,000 a week ago, and my accounts are around about the 2,200. So I'm risking about 5%. Now, they say risking your own money as a trader, 1 to 3%. I tend to hear kind of bounded around. So I think with a prop firm, 5% I think is not unreasonable at all. At least that way you don't need a massive account, you know, to make money. So I've got to say, considering we look for legs, this NQ chart is kind of looking like a kid in a sweet shop. They're everywhere. 2 legs up there, 2 legs up there, two legs up there, two legs up there, two legs down there. So this thing at the moment is kind of it's like walking in a minefield. You may walk through unscathed, but you may get absolutely blown apart. Took the second entry long there, lost, but already switched to a sim. Good on you, mate. We don't have to risk more than $50. We need to be like, no, we don't. What I tend to like to do, I think about, now I can hold accounts, I think about trying to earn some money per month. So if I can earn an average of $100 a day, all right, let's say I make an average of $100 a day. I don't think it's too difficult to do that per account. Now, that is $2,000 per account over a month. Now, let's say I half that. I have an awful month and I only make around about $50 a day. That's still $1,000 per month. If you've got 20 PA accounts, that's a potential $20,000. So you can earn a ton of money with earning not little, even if you can average $50 profit. I don't think that's that difficult. So, you know, you don't need to. I don't aim for massive amounts of money, which is where I kind of aim for around about the 100, 120, something like that. If a trade goes against me and I'm risking 120, I could get out for 60. If I win a trade for 120, I'm up $60 or even $50. It's still $1,000 a month. So plenty of money to be earned. So I've definitely slowed down. If you told me a month ago I'd be trading 1 or 2 micros, I'd have laughed at you. But it just goes to show, you know, how things trade. I just know I was struggling with Pats. Yeah, if you'd have said to me you'd be trading 2 micros, I'd have said you're an idiot. You've clearly got it wrong. But I do like these bigger moves. You have time to breathe. You know, you have time to get into a trade. You don't have to make a decision in the last second. You know, you could wait a minute or two or get in on a limit order. I think what I need to do is I've been trading 2 contracts on the NQ. I'm going to reduce it to 1, so maybe $50, $60 risk. It moves a little bit quick for me at the minute. I need to get used to this. After trading on the ES for over 4 years, it moves a little bit quick for me. So this for me is slightly bearish at the moment. Sorry, let me just flick over this here at the moment. I'm expecting this to move down. It's chopping around a bit, but after this move down from the tops, we're clearly struggling to get above that midline. Every time it goes up, it comes straight down. It went above it there, came straight down, didn't even get there. So for me, we haven't got the buyers interested in buying here. So zooming out there, you know, depending on what you're looking at, whether you're looking at the 2000 tick chart, but at the moment, we are clearly overall, we're bullish at the moment. So if you want to buy this market, you're not going to do it here. You're going to do it either at the bottom or maybe wait for a break. But from what I can see put down here, we've got a few attempts to push higher. We had another attempt. This thing for me is looking bearish. So having that in mind, a couple of attempts to push up was kind of what I was thinking. It may not even get much higher, but I got to say this NQ today is it's either a penguin paradise, or for someone a little bit less experienced with penguin, it can be a little bit of a minefield. But for me, that was the trade. I don't think that was that bad either. You can clearly, we're getting some support there. I don't think that was that bad, and that worked. That one, I don't think was terrible. It was clearly 2 legs up. And if I'd have got in right at the top, like he does sometimes, right there, and put my stop above that swing, that trade would have worked. So it's just moving a little bit too quick for me, and it's just taking a little bit of time to get used to it, that's all. It's choppy, the market is always doing, is that? Yeah. I've got to say, though, coming from Pat's, it definitely helps you trading Penguin style, because obviously his background was Pat's as well, and that's kind of how he, kind of started to develop this. And it more or less is Pat's, it's just slightly bigger moves. So let's flick back on. I'm going to play around with my charts later and try and get these side by side, or do something so you can see what I'm talking about. I keep talking about a chart and I've got the wrong one on. So this is what I'm seeing at the moment. Let me have a look at this. Kind of a push up and another push up. And for me now, this for me, I don't think this is going to get any higher than this. For me, I think this is going to fail. You can see we've made 3 attempts to push up and a strong move down, and we've done the same 1, 2, 3 attempts and a strong move down. So we clearly can't seem to get above this area. So for me, I'm expecting this to break these lows. So I'm going to stick my neck out here and say I'm going to put that there, because I think it's going to break into that area. Somewhere around about there. I mean, I could make that bigger and make me look a bit better, but that's kind of where I expect prices to get into, maybe close to this area. I don't mind a small pullback, but we're clearly struggling at the minute. I don't think price will get higher than there. I'd like to get a little bit higher, because if we can get close to another leg on that end here, we may get an option. Penguin Paradise. It kind of is in a way, yeah. I just need to slow it down. I mean, I took 4 trades really quickly. I never do that. I've never taken, well, I haven't taken 4 trades in a day for about a year and a half. Now, the beauty is 2 of them won, 2 of them lost. Now, normally I'd be in the red by about $250 trading Pats, but I'm actually in the green by an average of $35. So I do love it if you've got 2 perfect measured legs up here. I took a trade the other day. It came down, made a pullback, and gave a beautiful higher low. The beauty about trading micros is I could add an extra micro to that if I wanted to. So that's what I mean, when they talk about traders getting out of a losing trade and adding to a winning trade. I could trade in an extra micro. Yeah, I was on the forum for a while. In fact, I'm still on here, but there's not many people using it. Another trader buddy of mine, him, there's just not many on here at the moment. Okay, let's see what happens here. He is very, very good. Absolutely. Seller's not present. See how high this goes. Yeah, in fact, a trader buddy of mine described him as borderline genius. Martin Keychak. Oh, fantastic. I may be moving into a small office as well. There's a guy who I know who has an agency, he works out of a small office about 2 miles from where I live. And he said to me there was a spare office going. The trouble is, there's so many distractions at home. Every time the door goes, the dogs are barking. I haven't got much space in this room. I've got a teenager in the house that's just constantly in and out all the time, and there's so many distractions. And I have got a habit of coming back and trading in the evening. So it's only I think it's £270 per month. That's all included. And obviously that's tax deductible as well. So, you know, in the UK, if you're earning over 55,000, you're paying 40% tax anyway. So I'm assuming I'm going to be earning over that this year. So obviously 40% of that I'll be saving straight away. And I think I'll trade a little bit more sensibly as well. I've got less distractions, and I've got a habit of coming back in the evening and trading newer accounts. Yeah.
Order submitted.
Okay, so I'm in a trade now. Just trading one contract. One contract on the. I'll tell you in a second. Bear me a second. Just going to put that at the. Bear me a sec. Previous swing. So let's move this down here. Just got him way too late. Let me just flick over the NQ. I've got him way too late, really. I've got at the swing, the top of the swing there, 2 legs up. I saw this move down and thought second leg's not gone that higher. So I'm only trading one contract, $58 risk. See what happens. We've got a measured move up there at the moment. So we'll see what happens here anyway. We'll see. I'm trading this a bit slower. I should have got in at the measured move, really. That way I could have put my stop a bit higher, but it is what it is anyway. I just need to slow things down a little bit for tomorrow. Not only that, we've got a little channel there with a break. One new high and a second push up to a new high. So we'll see what happens here anyway. We have got a measured leg. We'll see. It's only a $58 risk. So it's a small risk anyway. So I'd rather, well, I'm still new to this, just risk a little bit less. So it's about a 3% risk, if that. So that's fine. I've got no issues with that. I was up about $30 on average anyway. So this will put me in the red by $20 if it goes against me. But this also, if you look at the ES, is kind of looking like a triple test. 1, 2, 3. I didn't think we'd get above this. We're clearly struggling to get up there. So I'm hoping this does what I expect it to do. We'll see. See, on the NQ, if I'd have gotten at the top of that move, I wouldn't have been far off out by now, but we'll see. Got my order up there, that previous swing. But that's what I love about this $58 risk. That's just so much less stressful. Yeah, I notice sometimes when Penguin draws these, we don't get a full measured move. And when we had a break of this channel and a strong push down, that's where I got in. So I just need to just slow things down a little bit for tomorrow. And the beauty is, if I think I've got this wrong, I could get out for less of a loss if I want to. So channel break, new high, and we've had a second push up. But on this ES, we are struggling here. This is the third time we've been up, and we are struggling to get up. Clearly say we're finding it difficult here. 1, 2, 3 attempts. So see what happens anyway. Let's flick back onto that NQ. Definitely flicks around way more, this does. Yeah, if I'd have been in here, I may have even been out by now. If I'd have got in around about here, stop would have gone there, I'd have been out by now. Okay, bear me a second. I'm just going to pour myself a quick drink. I'll be 1 minute. Okay, I need a beer. Shut me out a little bit. Cheers, everyone. Okay, quick look at the ES. 1, 2, 3 clear attempts to push high. We just can't get up there. Every time we push in above this midline, so I still think this is coming down, so hopefully, fingers crossed, we come down, and there's a ton of liquidity down here, so hopefully, if this pushes down, we'll see anyway. Once it gets below here, I think it'll happen quick, I think, but you can clearly see 3 attempts. We just can't get above there. So we'll keep an eye on it anyway. So back to the NQ. So I could now put my stop there and lower my risk. If it gets above there, I think it'll continue higher. So that's the beauty of this. I can take some risk off the table if I want to. Or I could add to it as well if I wanted to. At the moment, because this is a little bit too exciting. In fact, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Let's just leave it as it is, I think. I just didn't want it all my profit right the way down here, so... but if the ES comes down, which I think it will, down past all this, there's going to be a ton of liquidity there. It's going to get out of the bottom of this range and hopefully down here for this measured leg. There's my circle that I think it's going to go in, but you can clearly see 3 times. It's just not going anywhere. So this thing looks like it's coming down. Once it breaks below here, it'll do it with some vigor, I think. So let's just keep an eye on this NQ. So at least I'm nicely back into some profit here. I was hoping to get out. If I'd have got in up here, I'd have already been out by now. So I just need this ES just to push down just a little bit more. And if it does push a few more ticks, this should come down quite quick as well, hopefully. So you can clearly see 2 legs and it worked beautifully. If I'd have got in up here, I'd have been out long before now. Here we go. Okay. We're right at the bottom now, so I'm just going to bring that right down there. I'm not going to argue
Order
about
filled.
$3 or $4. Excellent. It'd probably go down lower, but yeah, I mean, it would have worked. It was $2 or $3. It's irrelevant, really. So that was the trade there. So did what it said on the tin. Let me flick back over to the ES. So right where I said it would go, I was expecting it to go, and it did exactly what I was expecting. So that's the beauty about trading. What I find is with Pats, I think the trouble with me, because I don't see a lot of great setups, I have a tendency to get in when it's a bit congested, and when you put your order below 1 tick, if it's slightly congested, a lot of the time it'll trigger you out, and then end up, I can't tell you how many trades have taken me out for 1 tick, 3 ticks, 2 points, and gone in the right direction. So more often than not, my read is right, my entry is wrong, and that's the beauty about trading Pats. You've got more space. You know what I mean? You're not going to get stopped out by a tick because you've got into a bit of congestion. That's the beauty about this. So I can read the charts because of trading Pats, so I can just adapt it to. But you know exactly what I was expecting happened. So you know I can make this work. But Pats for me is just too hard going. I think it's too quick. You don't have time to breathe. But, you know, I expected this leg down, followed by another leg down, and we're right down to where we need to be. So, you know, my chart reading is okay. There's no issues with it. My entries, trading Pats, are the problem. And how many times do we make a triple test like this? We have no signal bar for Pat, so we can't take the trade. And how many times do we go, we know where it's going, but we can't get in because we haven't got a signal bar? It's a triple test. Just because we haven't got a signal bar doesn't mean we shouldn't enter the markets, but that's the... Sorry. You also made someone on this trade. Yeah, I mean, if you look at the NQ, you just flick over to the NQ. This is kind of... Now, if I'd have got in there, that trade there at the right time, that would have been a winning trade. That one, I did mention once it started pushing up, it did look like a bull flag. So that might be a reason not to take that. So that's fine. That one worked. If I'd have got in there right at the measured move, I'd have been out here. It would have worked. That one worked and that one worked. So I'd have had 3 winning trades and a loss. So I'd have been up a couple of $100. So my chart reading is okay. I just need to slow things down because this works a little bit quick. But I'm on average $86 up now. One's 95. The lowest is 62. So I'm in nice profit. So it's a shame about that one. Otherwise, I'd have been comfortably. So I just need to slow it down a little bit. But I will say it's rare I don't see Penguin with at least 2 trades a day, 2 to 3 trades a day. So there is more options with Penguin because if we have 2 legs up, he's not so much interested in what the signal bar looks like. That's why sometimes he'll put his order here ready to be... I'm missing it again. Bear me a sec. Let me just disconnect and reconnect. It's showing I've got orders open. I haven't. But let me just flick over to... What's it? We can clearly see there's 2 legs up. So if you took a trade there, it worked, clearly. It may come back. If I took a trade there, my stop would be... If I enter the trade there at the measured move, I will put my stop there. I'd be out here comfortably. Bear me a second. I'd have been out comfortably. And even if it does decide to do a liquidity sweep up here before it moves down, I don't know how many times I've got into a trade, triggers me and then goes there. So 2 legs up and a trade there, that would have worked. Even if you'd have, you know, got your profit down here, it came back, but it still works. So look where I expected the market to go. So I can clearly read the charts, but trading Pats is just too hard going, I think, for me. So this definitely suits me much better. It does surprise me that you can benefit from larger swings. But if you think about it, bud, the size of the swing is irrelevant, really. It's about your risk. But yeah, I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. How many times, though? How many times, and you've been around here as long as me, how many times do we see a triple test on Pats, but there's no signal bar, so you can't take the trade? Look what happens. Works like a treat. So that's the problem with Pats. We have to rely on one signal bar, and if that signal bar doesn't perform at the very last second, we miss out on a trade. And how many times we've all sat here together and said, we know where it's going, we just can't enter. And that's the beauty about this Penguin style trading is, you know, it's very, very similar to Max, but it's almost like a zoomed out version of it. Max is kind of like microsurgery. This is kind of like, you know, chop your leg off type of job. You know, Max is kind of sew it back on. You know what I mean? We get in there with the axe and chop it off. He gets in there with all the fine details. So I still think we're going to get down here. So it'd be nice to get 2 legs up and then a move down. So we've got to move down, and this is our first attempt higher. I still think this will fail and come down towards this area down here, because I think, I haven't got bookmap anything, I think if you're a buyer here, leg down, the bottom of a bigger move up, this for me would be a sensible place to get into a long trade. Move back, 2 legs up, move back. So on a bigger chart, it would be much clearer. So if we can get 2 legs up, we may get an opportunity to get a short. But it's weird, isn't it? Trading this style. Look at the NQ. I got in right at the tops before they reversed. This is where I was looking to short up here. So it just goes to show I've got the moves right. That was a winner. That was a winner. That was a winner. That one, I got in too late. If I'd have got in up here, that would have been a winner. So it would have been 1 loss followed by 4 winning trades. And that would have been a solid day. So my chart reading is okay. You can clearly see 2 legs up there. That worked. Just didn't come down as low as I needed because I got in too late. 2 legs up. That one clearly worked. And 2 legs up. That one clearly worked. So my chart reading is okay. I just need to get in. You know, I have noticed a lot of the trades he takes lately. At the tops of these moves, he does leave limit orders. And if I'd have done that at this move here, that would have been a winning trade as well. So let's have a look. Let's discover the moon. I think it's more like a meteor, I think, than a moon. That made trading way more difficult, far too complicated than it needs to be. Then adds in a low profitable trade, way too complicated. Yeah, it is. I've got to say, when I first started to learn to trade, someone said to me, just don't do what a lot of traders do and go from strategy to strategy. And I've given it 4 solid years trading pats, and I can't get it to work as well as I feel like I need to. I just can't get it to work, and it's funny that I heard the Penguin guy. I'd love to know his name. I heard the Penguin guy say exactly the same thing. He couldn't get it to work successfully, and I will say you've got no room to breathe. It is like trying to run a marathon in a mask. You feel like you can't breathe. Everything's so quick, so last minute. You know, you can't. You know, I can't say I want to risk no more than $75 on this Pat's trade. I can't do it. It doesn't work that way. But trading this way does. So it's much better for me, this is. And yeah, as I say, if you'd have told me I'd have been trading a couple of micros a month ago, I'd have laughed in your face. I could not get why people traded micros. It made no sense to me, and here I am now. Look. See, at least in the eyes of Apex, anything above $50 for the day is classed as a profitable winning day. This is my 3rd profitable day since I've got paid. Tell a lie, the first one was $35. That doesn't count. Yesterday I ended up $114. 67 after fees. Today will be an average of $75, I think. So I'll get ready to mark that later. So even if once a month, even if I can earn an average, even if I can turn over an average of $250 profit per account per week, that it's not unreasonable at all. $250, that's an average of $50 a day. That will be $1,000 getting paid per account every month. 20 accounts, it's a ton of money. At the moment, 7, bud. I'm trying to get out this habit of when I get a new account, taking a stupid risk, trying to get it to grow. But I haven't done that since I've been trading Penguin style. I don't feel like I need to now. I just felt like I needed a bit of a boost because I was struggling to find trades with Pats. Now I've taken at least a couple of trades every day over the last week. I just took one yesterday, but I started late. But I don't feel there's a lack of setups trading Penguin, but Pats I do. I mean, I will say people like Dan generally takes a couple a day. He seems to find trades. He's an exceptionally good trader. Then I'm aware he hasn't lost a trade since last October. So, you know, depending on what type of person you are, I think I'm probably a bit too wired and a little bit too impulsive to make Pats work for me. And that's okay. It's okay to, you know, say I've tried and I don't think it's working for me. But luckily, you know, trading Penguin style is almost identical, just with a bigger move and bigger stops. As I say, I can't tell you how many times I've been taken out of a trade and it's gone in the direction that I've, you know, my read's right, just my entry. So it was totally random with the yes and ticks. Yeah, the trouble is you never know. Sorry, Anne, I'm in the same process trying to settle with something else than Pure Max. I don't think it's a bad option to have more strings to your bow. You know, you can trade Pats. I mean, if I see an absolute classic, perfect second entry short after a perfect channel down, I'll still take it. You know, I've learned some skills with Pats, that's for certain. I think the best bit I've got out of Pats is learning to read the charts. Although my entries with Pats, I think I struggle with, and I think it's identifying your strengths and weaknesses. My chart reading, I think, is okay. I think it's probably one of the stronger parts. I think my patience is okay, but my entries, especially when it's a bit congested, I just don't seem to see Pat's trades as clearly, and sometimes if I do, I hesitate because it's hard to manage risk. If I'm risking $75 with Penguin, I can just drop a trade in. I'm not fearful of taking trades, whereas Pats, I am a little bit. And I think that's a lot to do with, you know, sometimes the size of the risk. As I say, you never know what the signal bar is going to be. It could be 8 ticks, it could be 28 ticks. It varies so much. Not winning trades. Yeah, you know, when I first started trading Pats, I did feel inferior because I was thinking, why am I not seeing a dozen high probability trades? Simple fact is, when you trade in real time, they don't exist. You know, anyone can look at a chart. I mean, I'm not dissing Mac. You know, he's taught me to trade and taught me to understand the markets, and he's given me something valuable I'll always be grateful to. But, you know, I think it's okay to admit that some things aren't for you. You know, you may have some of the skills, but you may lack something. And I think that impulsiveness that I have, it makes it difficult for me because I'm quite a wired person. It's very easy to jump without thinking. And I think that's where I tend to go wrong sometimes. But he's taught me to read charts and to understand what's going on. And, you know, I'll always be grateful for that. I agree. I've never seen a marker losing trade. No, I remember I used to think to myself, why am I not seeing a dozen trades a day? And that was probably why I was taking. I think sometimes it can encourage you to take more trades. But, you know, it's the way he does it. It's the way he's kind of always does it. So, you know, some people get it and it works for them. But for me, it's, you know, it's not ideal for me. I don't think it's down to him so much. That's more down to me. Markets. Yeah, I know. It's crazy. In fact, it's funny. I don't know if you remember, most of you did. We talked about it before. Maybe 8-10 months ago, he was talking in one of his videos, and he said, if you can only trade 1 or 2 contracts, you've got to go for more points than 1 point because the numbers don't match. You won't make money. He clearly said that. And then about 3 weeks ago, he was saying you have to go for 4 ticks. Now, I'm not saying this in a way to diss him at all, because I think he's a nice guy. He's a genuine guy, and I think there's a lack of genuine guys out there, especially people who are on YouTube. But the trouble is with Mac, I think he's been doing it the way he does it for so long that it works for him, so why change it? And I absolutely get that. You know, people get sort of stuck in their ways, but if it works for you, I understand why people don't. You know, we've all heard this saying, if it ain't broke, don't try and fix it. But, you know, things change. As you say, 40 tick stop loss, stuff like that never existed. I tell you what to do if you're bored one night, go and look at some of his older videos. He got into a trade, tick above a stop loss, tick below the signal bar, and a 0.75 risk. A 0.75 risk, including a tick above and tick below, doesn't exist anymore. It's very rare to find a bar that small. I mean, what's the smallest bar I can see on here at the moment? That's probably one of them there. There's a very small one here. Let's have a look at this. That's tiny, that one. So if you put a tick above there and a tick below there, yeah, look how tiny that bar is. That's about the smallest bar that I can see. And there, you're risking 3 points there already straight away. And that's the smallest bar I can see. There was a signal bar off the bottom there. If you took that and you misread it, tick above, tick below, you're risking 5 3/4 points. I mean, it literally doubles on some. So until that bar closes, you don't know what you're going to be risking. And I think really you need to be an exceptionally competent Pats trader to be able to enter into trades like that and make consistent money. Because, you know, if you're risking 5 3/4 points there, if you win 5 winning trades in a row and lose the 6th one, you're in the red. And I know what that feels like. It happened to me once. I won, I think, 4 or 5 trades in a row and lost a lot. Then the next one and ended up in the red. It was heartbreaking because I tried really hard. So yeah, there you go. That's so successful. Why many more people apply for Pats on YouTube? Yeah, it's not for everyone, is it? It's not for everyone. Yeah, it's not for everyone. Now, if it works for you, I know people like Marco do well at it and people like Joke do well at it. And obviously Dan as well does exceptionally well. I think Marco and Dan are very good at. But, I think, trading this way, it's like walking a tightrope. I think you've either got really good balance or you haven't. And I think because you've got to make last-second decisions. Trading Penguin, you don't have to make decisions that quick. I could say if I see 2 legs come up here, I'll put an order. I've got time to think about it and assess what's going on and take a breath. And the trouble is, if it's like you haven't got time to think about it, you've got to make fast decisions. You're more susceptible to making mistakes. And I think that's where I go wrong. Gotta say, put it this way, you guys know I like a single malt. Gotta say, I've been having probably a couple of doubles a day. And sometimes when I'm trading as well, because I find it so nerve-wracking. Might be slightly extreme, probably 3 or 4 or 5 days a week, 3 or 4 days a week. It's not a huge amount, but I don't want to get into the habit of feeling like if I have a drink, it makes it a little bit less stressful. COVID, can't imagine. Yeah, he did say I'd love to find the video. He did say he started with Pats and just found he couldn't make it work, and I absolutely get it. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone, is it? I've got to say, actually, taking a trade here, 2 legs down, didn't quite go as long as I was expecting. But I suppose you could have possibly entered leg down, 2 attempts to push, or leg down, 1, 2, 3 legs up and another leg down. Not far off that measured move. And I will say, a lot of times that I do see Penguin, marking these. A lot of the time we don't get a full measured move, but I don't think it was a terrible decision to maybe put a long gear, maybe put a stop down here and a profit up here. I mean, the overall picture is telling me we're moving up at the moment. We push up right to the top 3 times and then we go sideways and we drop out and get very close this. In fact, I mean, you probably could even squeeze that up a little bit. Actually, that probably makes a bit more sense. I'm looking at the wrong chart again. I'm going to have to figure this out. Sorry, I was just looking on the ES chart. There we go. It's all right. I had that slightly different angle, but actually, when you think about it, look where it's bounced there. That actually looks much better. Touch, 2 touches there and a bounce. I had this slightly different. Look where that's bounced. There. Twice there. Once there and once there. We had 2 legs down to there. 2 legs up. A little bit of sideways. Bounce again there, and typically, like we do in a lot of ranges, we push up to the top corner and go sideways until we get a bounce off the bottom, and look at that. So thinking about that, I'd be interested to see if Penguin does mark that, but you can clearly see we've got a leg down, 2 legs up, plus a third triple test. Another great reason to go short there, and then that second leg down. We didn't quite get down to the full leg, but perhaps we didn't need to. Bounced off that line, and look at that take off. So that would have been a good entry. I just had that bigger channel, slightly different, but I think that was a good trade there. Another guy posted on Facebook, I think his name was Ninja, something like that. Hadn't lost a trade this year. That just takes amazing discipline. Yeah, I'm guessing he's probably trading a point or 6 ticks. I'm not saying you can't make money at Pats. You absolutely can. I think it's a great system, but it doesn't suit everybody. I remember when I first started to learn to trade, a guy said to me, you'll kind of find a way that suits you to trade. Some people make good scalpers, some make more intraday, some make better sort of swing traders or long-term position holders. And I suppose it depends on your mentality. It depends on your temperament. What your mood's like. Are you calm? Can you, work well in high stress times? And I think, if you slow it, like me, if you can't operate in times like that, and I think after 4 years, I think I've proven I'm finding Pats difficult. This just allows you to take a breath. I mean, I was in a trade there and I popped downstairs to get a beer, so you can't do that with Pats so much. You wouldn't want to probably, but this suits me better. It's just slows things down a little bit. And what I love about it as well is I can work out my risk exactly and just adjust my contracts accordingly. And not only that, this is working beautifully. I could always, if I'm trading two micros here, I could always add a third micro if I want to. Or I could take, if it's going against me, I could reduce the risk. So there's so many more options. It does suit you, look more relaxed. I feel more relaxed. In fact, I kind of feel a bit wired today because I feel relief. I feel relieved. Trading Pats was kind of like a wild ride. I've got to say I've not been a great sleeper lately. I have a tendency to be up and down throughout the night, and you guys can tell me, you've known me long enough now, I'm quite a wired person. I'm not a very super calm person. I'm very motivated if there's something I want to do, but I'm not the greatest person at high stress situations. I think I've proved that by now. Whereas this, I can manage my risk, which is something it's very difficult to do with Pats. I can risk 1 micro, $50, $30. I can risk 2. There's so much you can do. And I do feel, I'm kind of excited. I feel like a kid at Christmas because I feel like I've finally found a way I can trade and breathe at the same time. So, yeah, I just kind of feel a sense of relief. It's weird how these things affect you like that, isn't it? Quick question. You guys who trade Penguin, what tick chart do you trade your NQ at? Just out of interest. I'm trading 1,000. I don't know whether to. I'm pretty sure Penguin trades 1,000, doesn't he? But I know some trade the 1,500, so I don't know whether it just might be the type of day it is today where it is. It is. We're getting constant legs, aren't we? Doesn't always do that, you know. Mind you, I suppose the more you see legs, the more you... Like anything, isn't it? If you buy a blue car, every other bloody car you see is blue. But I've got to say, the last 5 days in a row, I'm green, and I haven't had that for a long time with Pats. So I do find a sense of relief that I can lower my risk and make money. Not have to worry about making money. Definitely seems to suit you better, sure. I know you had been doing something else. Yeah, I've kind of been doing it a little bit after the stream, just on individual accounts and obviously watching his videos. I mean, we've talked about Penguin many times. I tried to trade stuff once before, a couple of years ago, a year and a half ago, but you know, I've always watched his charts. I've always paid attention to him. But the good thing is, it's a really good. It's quite a simple. Well, I say simple. It's more of a straightforward transition to go from Pats to Penguin because it's very, very similar, just slightly bigger moves. You know, I wouldn't expect it. If you went to a completely different strategy, you would have a complete new learning curve, wouldn't you? My option is Pat's style is very subjective and far too complicated to teach. It is. Yeah, I think sometimes that's why Matt kind of holds back. I think Pat's, you have to kind of learn it yourself to a degree, don't you? And experience it. So yeah, I agree. Take a naked chart like Thomas Wade and go bar by bar and to explain the concept. Yeah, it's not straightforward, is it? To be fair, Al Brooks said the largest swings are way easier than small scalps. You know my opinion on that. I agree. Did Mac himself can't explain often why his haters are trade. Yeah. Oh, he enters a trade. I thought he said his haters there. Quite small letter, isn't it? The thing is, because your losses are so much smaller, I've got to say, I still have, up until recently, still had this when I'm in a deficit for the day, I still have that urge to go back. What I found is when I've taken trades on here, I'm quite happy to walk away. I don't feel quite as wired at the end of a trading day. You know, sometimes I'd walk downstairs and I'd get a whiskey and I'd be jittery for a while. But I definitely feel way more relaxed. So, I think Penguin trades the 250 tick chart. Bloody hell. Does he really? 1,000 tick chart scares me. Penguin trades the 250 chart, the NQ, was it the 500? I may have seen actually the 250. Whether he just, you know, uses that for a reference or something. So again, the more I realise I disagree with a lot of his trades. Yeah. I disagree with a lot of the trades. I agree with the man. I think he's a lovely guy. And the little amount he charges for traders. So, you know, I might not necessarily choose to continue trading the same way that he teaches. But as a guy, he's a genuinely nice bloke. you know, and the little he charges. So, you know, I'd always be grateful from there. Like, mate, just tuned in. What tick size are you using for ES? I see Penguin. As I see Penguin on the... I know he trades the 2000 on the ES, but I trade the MES. And in all fairness, I can't see too much of a difference. I'm making it work on the MES and the MNQ. So, I mean, really, the only differences I would have thought in somewhere between the 1000 and the 1500 would be there's slightly more bars, but the moves will be the same. So if I just take this, wait a sec, if I just take this I'm on the NQ. If I just take this, the NQ, now this is the 1000 tick chart. If it was the 2000 tick chart, there'd be half the amount of bars, but we still kind of get those two legs. So I think it's probably an easier strategy to distinguish moves, you know, more irrelevant or than it is on the 1000 or the 2000 or the 1500. Obviously with Pats, because we go more on individual bars as opposed to a move, I think it's obviously a little bit more important, but it's just the row of the day. Yeah, I know. Yeah. Last few vids I've seen have been 500. Have they really? I'll have to have a look at that. I'll have a look. Lucas, how you doing, buddy? You can also use range bars. You have total control of the volatility, for example. Someone else mentioned that. I mean, to be honest with you, what I like about this is if I decide to, for this move here, for instance, if I wanted to take a short here, I put my stop where I think, let's say, I don't know, my stop goes up there, say. What I like about that, because I've got this set to price or currency, whatever it is, based on what I'm trading now, which is the MNQ, which is a micro, one micro has a $55.5 risk. So I can either risk that or trade two micros and double that. I haven't got that option with Pat. So if I think I'm looking for this second leg, a lot of the times now, Penguin will put an order here. I can work out exactly what my risk is and profit before I've even entered the trade, and I can adjust it accordingly. One contract, I'm risking $56. Two contracts, $112, and so on and so forth. You can't do that with Pats. And sometimes I get into a trade, and before I know it, I'm risking $300, and it's too much. So there's so much more options here. If you've got a bigger stop up here, you've got time to get out for a smaller loss if you think you've read the market wrong. So it's win-win for me. There's just so many good parts to it, and you've got way more options. Trading Pats is very restrictive. And not only that, you know, a lot of the times you'll see Penguin put an order in here. Now, let's call that a bigger scale, a second entry short. Matt wouldn't enter that if the signal bar was poor, even though so many times we see the trades, they work anyway. So there's just too many restrictions with Pat, and there's way more options with you know, Penguin. Lately on Penguin videos, he uses 250 chart. I don't quite know. I don't quite know. It needs to be clear though. Yeah, agreed. But the benefit that I've got is I've got some chart reading skills, so I can adapt those, or I can adopt those, should I say. But the last 5 days I've been profitable. So my chart reading skills that I've learned from Pat's definitely helped me. And obviously there's that little adjustment period, isn't it? And a few teething problems, which can be expected. But, you know, it's like anything. When you adjust things slightly, there's always that little bit of a learning curve, isn't there? I've been toying with coming back to Pat's on a 40 range bar. 10 points of rain so clear it becomes super easy to read. I think when you've been trading a while, you'll start to notice things. And I think you kind of find your own way, don't you? You find your own way of doing things, and there's nothing wrong with that. So, you know, I'd say, Lucas, listen to your own head, mate. Do what you feel is right. Try it. Have a go at it. You know, there's so many ways of trading these markets, and they're all kind of very similar in a sense. You know, a lot of traders wait for a pullback. That's kind of what we do, 2 legs up here. You know, it's kind of what, you know, Mac does, and you know, they're all kind of very similar in a way. It's just, you know, adjusting a few things here or there and to kind of give you this same sort of picture. So, yeah, you know, I mean, if you're new to Pats and you've been trading Pats for a year or so, I'd say, you know, give it a go. You may make it work. Not only that, you will learn chart reading skills, and that's a big part of it. So you're certainly not going to waste your time, that's for certain. Happy for your Lance that you found a way to trade carefree. It's certainly much better, Sam. How you doing, buddy? No, it shouldn't be. And I know you may, you know, some may say, well, you need to lower your risk. Yeah, it's difficult to do though with Pats, I got to say. And I do feel, you know, I kind of feel elated in a way because I feel a sense of relief. I feel like a bit of a weight taken off my shoulders. And I have sat and thought to myself, am I going to feel like this for the rest of my days every time I trade? But now I know my risk, I can make it $60, $100, $150, whatever I want. I can adjust it to fit me, and it's nice to have options. So I appreciate that, Sam. What time is it? I think I'm going to finish now. I'm not in a hurry to carry on now. I'm up between $62 and $95, around about $70, $80. Great system, thanks. Absolutely. When you've been trading a while, you can create something to suit you. This, you know, once we kind of understand how charts work and we know generally where prices go, we can just adjust ways to enter and areas to enter. So there you go. So my wife's just come home from work. Sun's baking outside, so I'm going to slap a bit of sun cream on. And I'm going to take my beer and go and sit out in the garden with the wife and have a chat with her. So I'll leave you guys to it. Sorry I've yabbered on a bit today. I do have days where I don't shut up. So you've always got your volume control. You can turn me down. Just put 16 range on ES, really. Looks good. Yep, you got to try these things. It doesn't hurt to try new things. So, right, guys. Cheers. Good luck to you. If you're carrying on trading, best of luck. I hope you get a setup. Failing that, have a great evening. You're too nice to me, you are, Karina. Have a great evening. Stay safe. Once you go range, you never go back. That's what they tell me. Have a great evening. Stay safe, and we'll catch up same time tomorrow. Bye for now.